Hey Cole, hope you're enjoying Hawaii. Everybody else wants to say hi. All of a sudden they're all like, "Oh, what's up, Cole?" And then I turn on the video and then they're like not saying a word.
What's up, cat?
All right, there we go.
Cole, have fun in Hawaii, and I miss you, bud.
There you go, go bullet. I'm so bold.
All right. Okay, Cole, we're getting started. Ready? All right, so today, guys, we're going to talk about photosynthesis, okay? All right, photosynthesis. All right, it's comprised of two words, photo, right? And synthesis, okay? So synthesis is when you make something, okay? When you synthesize something, you're putting things together to form something new, okay? So the synthesis part of this is the conversion of solar energy to chemical energy. And then photo means light, okay? And synthesis means make. So you're making something with light, okay? So to define photosynthesis, okay, all right, is converting sunlight to energy. All right? In a way, solar panels are kind of like photosynthetic, right? They convert solar energy into electrical energy. In the case of plants, they are converting solar energy to chemical energy. Can you see okay? Over my shoulder? Okay, I just didn't want to block you. Okay, so what type of organisms photosynthesize? Okay, they're mostly plants, right? And then there are also what are known as phytoplankton in the ocean that photosynthesize. In fact, phytoplankton are a significant part of the conversion of carbon dioxide to oxygen because they are photosynthetic as well. Okay, so the biggest carbon sinks, the things that turn carbon dioxide back into oxygen, are the forests. Okay, both the rainforest and the North American forest is a big carbon sink, and then the phytoplankton. Okay, so how does life on Earth depend on photosynthesis? Well, without photosynthesis, what can't exist?
Air.
Well, no, air would still be here. Gases would still be here. What is it that depends on photosynthesis to survive? Plants, right? Okay. So if we don't have plants, okay, then we don't have any animals. I wouldn't be here, but then you wouldn't be here either, because even if you eat animals that eat plants, they depend on the plants too, right? Right, okay. So how does life on Earth? Well, photosynthesis is the first step in the flow of matter and energy, right? Okay, because it is the step necessary to turn the sun's energy into all the energy that we can use, okay? So it turns the sun's energy into energy we can use. Okay? Good. All right, so we can't use solar energy. We're not capable of using it, so we need to use energy from plants. All right, so let's see here. Actually, I want to go here and here.
Sun's energy.
Oh, are we not? I'm sorry. I'm rushing ahead. I'm rushing, and he's not finished. Get it? All right. Okay.
Cole Bullock, you heard that one?
Yeah, got to give Cole the corny jokes. All right, here we go. So, the first thing I want to expose you to is the equation for photosynthesis, okay? This is a chemical reaction, all right? And it is right here. All right?
I'm great.
This turning into this. All right? So let's understand what the reactants and products are in this equation. All right, the reactants, as you remember, are everything over here, right? The products, everything over here. What are the two reactants that are going to this? Well, we have 6H2O. What's H2O?
Water.
Water. Very good, gentlemen. So, reactants are what goes in, right? And the reactants in this case are water. And what's the other thing over there?
Carbon dioxide.
Yep, CO2 or carbon dioxide. Very good. Did you have a question, Tyler? Or were you
No, I
just
was about to say that.
you were about to say carbon dioxide? Great, great. So plants take water up from the soil through their roots, and carbon dioxide, they actually take it in through the leaves. Okay, there are small holes in the leaves and that bring in the carbon dioxide. Products are what is produced. So remember we used the cooking analogy, right? The reactants are the ingredients that go into the recipe, and the products are what you have when you're done cooking. So if you put flour, water, eggs, or milk, baking powder, whatever, you put it all in a bowl, you stick it in the oven. When you get done, you have a cake. And the cake is not, you can't break the cake apart into flour, eggs, like it's all chemically changed. That's a chemical reaction, okay? And so it's the idea of putting ingredients in, those are our reactants, and getting our products. So what is produced by photosynthesis? Well, the primary things that are made, one is, hopefully you can recognize, O2. What does O stand for in the periodic table? Oxygen, right? Oxygen. So O2 is just how oxygen naturally occurs in the air. Two oxygens join together. They just naturally like to have a buddy. They work on the buddy system. Almost all gases actually work on the buddy system. So like when you find hydrogen in the air, it's in H2, or nitrogen, they're all connected together. So the products are oxygen, which is great for us because that means that plants actually help produce the oxygen that we need to live. It takes approximately a 25 square foot section of grass to support one human being in terms of oxygen production. So if we each had a little 5x5 section of grass, we could survive.
Don't touch my land, bro.
Don't touch that's my oxygen. Get away.
Next time you breathe my oxygen, $5, man. $5.
All right. Now that's just for us to survive and cycle our carbon dioxide. That doesn't count all the carbon dioxide that's being produced by like cars and all those other things. Okay. And then the other product is this really long equation here, C6H12O6. Okay. We often talk about it like this. We call it CHO, just for short. Okay, because it's always understood that the numbers are 6, 12, and 6. Now, what do you notice about this? Well, what happens if I divide this by 6? I have C, and I have H. What's 12 divided by 6? 2.
Oh, I was right. Yeah.
All right. What is that? Carbon plus a water. What's another word for when you drink lots of water because you want to get?
Hydrated.
So that's a carbohydrate. Yeah, carbohydrate, right? So this is specifically referred to as glucose. Glucose is the basic fundamental carbohydrate that is produced by photosynthesis. Okay? And that is what the plant stores. That is what we get when we eat plants. When we eat plants, we're getting glucose and some fructose, which is another kind of sugar. So sometimes it takes the glucose and joins it together with other sugars to make a different sugar. Okay, but basically the idea is that it makes glucose, and then that glucose is used both by the plant. At nighttime, the plant uses glucose for food, so it can continue to survive even when the sun is not shining. Okay, all right. So what happens is an entire transfer of energy and a flow of energy as it starts from the sun all the way to the plant. Okay.
Can plants survive off the light from the moon too?
There's not enough. There's not enough light reflected off the moon, even though we can see it and it's visible. It's not enough quantity for plants to photosynthesize. That's a good question.
Like certain types, like small, like not a lot, like
Possibly something that maybe is very used to being in dark areas to begin with could possibly, if you then took it and put it out under the moonlight, might be able to, but it's pretty diminished. Now, plants can use indoor light to some degree as well. Now, it's not a full spectrum indoor light, so it
say
depends.
what if you had a full spectrum light?
Like a full spectrum, that's a grow light.
Yeah.
That's what a grow light is. So,
Yeah.
grow light provides a full spectrum of
It's like the red,
visible light.
red and green, right?
Yeah. There's certain parts of the spectrum that don't always come out strong enough in regular lighting. So those lights actually will also allow a plant to do photosynthesis.
So you need like some
Okay.
like ultraviolet type of lights.
Well, it's a special kind of light. It's called a grow light, and it doesn't produce UV,
A lot of
but
people
it produces
just want,
like full spectrum.
lights.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
full spectrum lights. And so in like a greenhouse, you could leave the lights on, the grow lights on, and actually never have to worry about the plant using its own glucose. You see what I mean? Because the plant would always be able to photosynthesize.
Okay.
Okay? So you could create a scenario where you're continually, the plants don't need nighttime. It's just the way the world works, right? They don't actually need the nighttime. If they're kept in proper conditions, they can just continue to grow, all right? And you could create a scenario, for example, in like a station on space, like a space station, where you have your plants under a grow light and they serve as an actual constant recycler of carbon dioxide. So like you have a whole ecosystem there where your carbon dioxide is recycled and you don't need supplemental oxygen. Okay? So that's a possibility too, right? And if you're talking about a large station, you could have enough trees or plants growing there that they would actually be able to. But the issue there is water. Then you would need a large quantity of something to reclaim the water continually. Okay? So you got to have the water as part of the equation too,
How do you
right?
get water back out the plants?
How do you get the water back out of the plants? Well, the plants
How do you feed the
actually evaporate the water back into the atmosphere. Yep, that's how it works. Remember, like we talked
So-
about the hydrogen bonds and how it pulls water through the roots up all the way to the leaves, and then there are actually little holes in the leaves, and then it evaporates out of the leaves.
Oh, so the leaves shoot water out
They
something?
don't shoot water; it's vapor.
Oh,
So it's like it's water vapor, meaning it's small particles of water that you can't see. If there were enough of them, it would be like steam, but it's not like steam because it's not hot. Okay, it's not hot like steam, but it's the same idea as steam. Steam is water vapor as well. There's always a certain amount of water vapor in the atmosphere, right? That's called humidity. So when the humidity is really high, like 90%, and you can kind of feel how moist it is in the air, that's the water vapor that's present in the air.
Isn't it like certain? Can't you like burn a plant from having it under like a light too long? Or, like,
Yeah, certain lights could kind of overexpose a plant. Some plants don't
me and
like a
my
lot of
granddad has,
sunlight.
like a sets of full spectrum lights.
Yeah.
He would like turn them off at nighttime because he said it would burn up his plants.
Yeah. I mean, some plants do great in full sun, and you could use that, but some need a break too.
Because like I've heard of like you can like change like plants like regular state of like because they're used to night and day.
Mm-hmm.
You could change that to let them like change like say you only have like this much of nighttime and like this much of daytime to make it grow.
Right.
A different pattern.
You can change the cycle so that it's like summer all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they have 14 hours
So
or
they think
16
that
hours
they
of daylight.
have to grow because they're like,
Yeah.
hey, that fall's
It's
coming
some-
around.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you can do that.
so that's kind of like
All right.
cactuses, bro.
Well, I mean, cactuses are used to a lot of sunlight. Yeah,
So,
a lot of heat.
okay,
They have special
When
adaptations.
I see wild cactuses outside, like in
Uh-huh.
Virginia, how do they over the winter time? How do they stay alive?
Well, if they're perennials, they can possibly die back, or they bring them inside. That would be the only
But
thing.
it was in the ground.
Well, then it must be one that like dies back, or you can sometimes cover them in a way that helps prevent them. Because some desert areas get quite cold.
Yeah, like
Right?
dirty.
Yeah, so it's possible that some species of cactus could do okay in an area like here where it doesn't get like bitterly cold, like 0 degrees Fahrenheit or whatever all the time. So they'd be doing okay in the south, but maybe not in like Minnesota or someplace like that. All right, so let's talk about energy transfer. All right, let's define energy first. Okay, energy is simply defined in physics or any other science as the ability to do work, whatever kind of work that is. Heart beating, running a marathon, any kind of work. Okay, physical, mechanical, electrical, chemical, whatever. All right? Okay, so the general energy transfer that's going to occur in photosynthesis, right? Okay, is basically, right, solar energy to chemical energy. All right? That is what's basically happening. Okay? So, solar energy is being turned into chemical energy by a series of reactions. Okay? There are actually like several steps in the process. It's not an instant kind of thing. But that's what's being happened. We run on chemical energy and some electrical energy. So there is electricity in our body, very small, low voltage electricity, but our nerves are transmitting electrical signals from one area to the other. Okay? That's why when you attach your body to like a piece of electrodes, you can get your arms to flex. That's actually an electrical impulse going from my brain to my arm. Okay? That's what happens. Okay. All right, we've got 5 more minutes before we have
Is that
to.
electrode thing you were talking about? Is that what we were talking about on the bike ride that one day?
Like, yeah, electrical stimulation and stuff. They make those, yeah. You can both do muscular stimulation.
And it, like, helps you.
And they use them with folks that, yeah, have, like my dad. They use them with my dad because he can't, he's paralyzed. So it helps stimulate his leg muscles to keep them toned because he can't move his legs. He's working on trying to, relearn how to use his legs. So he can't make the muscles fire on his own.
How did he become like paralyzed?
He had a tumor inside of his spine, and it compressed his spinal cord. Yeah, so he
Something
became
like that actually happened with my granddad.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to describe all these different things that are part of photosynthesis. All right, the first, hopefully, is the easiest, and that is solar energy. Okay, so what is solar energy? Well, anybody want to guess?
Sun.
Energy from the sun, right? And it is measured in photons. So there are these tiny particles. Sunlight is composed, it is supposed to a wave, like an electromagnetic wave, like a radio wave, but it's also a particle. It acts like a particle. And those particles are photons. And these photons hit the plant, hit the chloroplasts of the plant, and cause the reaction to begin. Okay? All right. So, what happens is, all right, photons, okay, photons strike an electron. And they excite it. Okay, so these electrons get excited. Like when that day when you've been cooped inside because it's been like miserable weather and rainy and cloudy for 5 days, and then all of a sudden the sun comes out and you run outside and you're like, yeah, it's time to have some fun, I'm excited. Okay, so these electrons actually, the photons hit the electrons, and the electron absorbs some of the energy and is now excited. It has extra energy. That's what we mean when we say an electron is excited. It means it has bonus energy that it wants to go and get rid of. It wants to take it somewhere and get rid of it. Okay? So it's not just a normal electron. It's now excited with this energy. Okay? And we'll talk about how that happens in a little bit. Okay? All right. So this side of the whole equation is the solar energy part, right? So the energy comes from the sun, and now it strikes an electron, and now it's an excited electron. So this is actually a form of electrical energy, okay? And then, all right, it hitches a ride with this NADPH. NADPH is the bus that transports electrons. Okay, so the electron has to get somewhere. How does it get somewhere? It hops on the NADPH.
It transports electrons.
Yep. It transports electrons, okay? It is considered an energy transporter, okay? So it's got to hit, the electron can't get anywhere on its own. It's got to hitch a ride, hop on the NADPH. It's got his bus pass. I ride the NADPH. Okay. All right, and then lastly, okay,
Describe ATP.
once it gets to its destination, okay, it helps make, okay, ATP, which is a form of chemical energy. All right? That's the simplest way to describe that, okay? It has these, ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate, the tri meaning three. So it's three phosphates attached to an adenosine, and those phosphates can be released to create energy. ATP is the fundamental energy currency that all life uses, okay? So when you run out of energy, or you're like running and you get tired and your muscles start to hurt and you can't run anymore, it's because you're running out of ATP, okay? All right, let me see if I can pause this thing. Cole, we're going to eat lunch. See you later.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Now you should put that.
So the rest of this video is rated C for Cole. All right, so